Welcome to Python programming video. Today we are going to see that how to accept a number from user and check it is prime number or not. How do we define a prime number or what actually a prime number is? So you know the examples. Prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 and so on, 13, etc. Right? So what is peculiar about these numbers? So generally students say or people say that prime numbers are those which are divisible by 1 and by themselves. Okay, so divisible by 1 and by themselves. Now this definition is not correct and you must be agreeing that what I've done wrong in this, that when I'm saying that a prime number is 1 which is divisible by 1 and by itself, all the numbers are divisible by 1 and by itself. So it should be, you guessed it correct, that a prime number is 1 which is divisible only by 1 and by itself and not by any other number, right? So that is a prime number. So if we have to check, if we just try to check that whether a number is divisible by itself, suppose n equal to 8, and if I'm checking that if number is divisible by n and the number is divisible by 1, then in all the cases we will get prime number, because every number will be divisible by n and 1. Okay, so we have to change our approach in a different direction when we are doing programming. Here we have to think in the terms of numbers of factors, that how many factor does a prime number have. Okay, so a prime number will always have how many factors? 2, right? So how do we count what is a factor, or how do we know what is a factor? So let's see a simple example to check how to know that whether one number is a factor of other or not. For this, in mathematics, if we have to do, suppose I have taken 16 and I divide this number by 4, as a quotient I will get 4 for the 16 quotient, and remainder we will get 0. Now let's take 20, and if I divide it by 5, then quotient, luckily again or by chance we are getting again, that is 4, and remainder is 0. The same is coming again. Okay, let me take different example. 10 divided by 5 will give you quotient equal to 2 and remainder equal to 0. So how can we tell, or how can we prove that 4 is a factor of 16, 5 is factor of 20, 5 is factor of 10, but when I'm dividing 15 by 4, then in this case we will get quotient as 4 into 3 12 and remainder as 3. So 4 is not a factor of 15, but 5 is a factor of 10, 5 is a factor of 20. So how can we prove what is giving us this indication? We can judge this with the help of value of remainder. If the value of remainder is 0, then this number is a factor, otherwise it is not a factor. Okay, so in this programming we have to take the use of finding the remainder, and which operator do we use for finding the remainder? That is modulus operator. So let us see one example. Let's take n equal to 10 and d is equal to 4, and let's take remainder n modulus d, and let's print the value of r. So 10 divided by 4, and what remainder we will get? The remainder we will get as 2. 4 into 2 is 8 and the remainder is also 2. Let's make it 13 now. 4 into 3 is 12 and the remainder should be 1, or remainder is 1. So this operator is used, percentage sign is used as a modulus operator to find out the remainder. Okay, so if we ask user to input a number, n is equal to int input, enter a number. Now whenever we are writing this statement n equal to int input enter number, for the beginners, input is a function which is asking user to input a value, because this message is asking. This input is taking a value through keyboard and it will store that value to n. But in between, while the value is going from input to n, in between there is a int function. What it is doing? It is converting the input into integer. By default, input function takes any value as a string, but we want it as an integer or a number, so int function is used. Okay, now we have to what we have to do, we have to check that this number, how many factors this number is having. Okay, how many factors? We have to count that this number is having how many factors. For counting, let's take a variable called c equal to 0, and we will divide this n by 1, 2, 3, 4 by all the numbers up to n. So for dividing, let's take a variable called for. So for is not a variable. For is what? For is a statement or looping statement, and here we will take a variable called for div. Let's call, for dividing we are using div variable. For div in range, and its range will start from 1. Don't take it from 0, because you divide any number by 0, you will get infinite value, and that can raise an error. We can see actually. We will see that whether it raises an error or not. So let's try to divide a number by 0. I am writing a print and writing 10 divided by 0. Okay, I'm running this program. Okay, it is asking me. Okay, but and then here it comes, the error is coming. Okay, division by 0. So you will get a error message, division by 0, because whenever the program will try to divide any number by 0, it will give an infinite value which cannot be represented. Okay, so that's why you will get this error. So so always remember that avoid using 0 as a divisor. Here c equal to 0 does not mean divisor. C is a count. We are going to count that how many factors this number has. So the initial value should always be 0. For if you have to take a sum, the initial value of sum should be 0. Okay, now we will write for div in range starting from 1 and up to how much? Because if the number is 20, then 1 to 20 we have to go. If the number is 30, then 1, 2, 3, 4. We have to check all the numbers, that whether this number is divisible by 1 or by 2 or by 3, up to that number which has been entered by user. Now we will write here n. Okay, but if I write 1 comma n, what will happen? It will stop one number before n. As you know that in range the last value is excluded. It is not taken into account. That means it will go from 1 to n minus 1. But we have to also divide that number by the same number itself. So in that case we will take plus 1. Why? Because if the number is 20, we have to divide by 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 20. Okay, so n plus 1. In this case it will move from 1 to n. Now we are going to check if n, that is the number given by user, is divisible by our variable div. Div will be having value from 1, then it will have value 2, then it will have 3, and so on. If n modulus div gives you remainder 0, always remember to put double equal to sign whenever you are comparing. Okay, because this double equal to sign shows we are comparing the value, and single equal to sign shows that we are assigning the values. We are assigning the values from from right side to left side. Okay, so we are comparing, so it should be like this. So if the number is getting divided by div, then I have to increase the value of my counter. So c is my counter variable, so c equal to c plus 1 I can write. That means c's value become 1. It will increment it by 1. And this much only we have to do inside the loop. Outside the loop, we just have to check that what is the value of c. So what we have decided earlier, that a prime number will have how many factors? It will always have only 2 factors. So the value of c, if it is equal to 2, then we will print prime, else print composite. First let me try this program. Enter number, I am saying 20, and it has said composite. Okay, fine. Run this program again. I am giving 17 and it is saying prime. That means program is correct. Now let's see the basic details. This is a comment which is starting with a hash symbol. So comments are always ignored by compiler. It is just a comment, and you can write any description about your program. Here in this line, the value has been taken. C is a counter variable. We are running a loop from 1 up to n. Since we have to run up to n, we have to write n plus 1, because it is the property of range function that it does not include the last value. Then we are dividing n by all the values which are coming into div variable. you can put any other variable. It's not necessary that I have to write div only. We can write simple d also. If n modulus d double equal to 0, then I am counting. Now when you are writing the statement inside the loop, it should be indented like this, and this statement is inside if, so it is again more indented. We cannot write like this. Run, and if I am running the program, it is giving me indentation error, expected an indented block, because I am writing some statement inside if, but I am not giving any statement inside if. So what is the use of taking if? So we have to indent it properly. Okay, so I have put a tab and then it has gone there, but we cannot check directly inside here. Why? We cannot check it here, because suppose the number 20, first it will get divided by 1, so its counter will be 1, then it will be divided by 2, its counter will become 2, and immediately it will say prime. Now let's see what will happen in this case. If I put my if block inside loop, I have given 20 and it is saying composite, then it is saying prime, prime, composite, composite. Why? Because first it is divided by 1 and then the counter has become 1, so 1 is composite number, then it has divided by 2 and total C has become 2, so it is saying prime. Then it is divided by 3, but it is not getting divided, so the value remain as 2, so here also it is saying prime. The moment it has gone to 4, 4 has divided and the counter variable has gone to 3, so this erroneous output you will get. This answer is of no use, this is wrong. So we have to check only when the final value of C you get. So the final value of C means once the complete loop is executed, then whatever the final value is there, that will be considered, and now we can check. So if the value of C is 2, then it is print, then it is prime, else it is composite. I hope you have understood this program, that how to accept a number and check it is prime or not. Okay, thank you.